Are we online? Okay, let's just balance things off a bit. 1 2 1 2. Guns really punching it out today. Okay, that's a little bit better. That's got some power tonight. Okay, let's just get up so we can do some monitoring. Okay, let's see where we go. See if it is monitoring for a start. Yeah, we're on. We're on. Okay, that's good news. A little bit of a different sound, I must admit. Let's just have a quick listen. Auto generating, that's cool. So whatever I say, it's actually generating most of the words anyway. At about 10-second delay, according to this. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, let's just have a quick listen to this. Moot out the old thing for a second. Then we'll say a few more things. 1 2 3 4. Mic's working okay anyway. I'll just put the volume up on here. Oh, that's a nice. That's coming through lovely. There you go. Keeping things nice and quiet because next door's asleep or half drunk, one of the other, I'm not quite too sure. Most likely the second one just comes straight in and seen her all day. Decide to go to bed. She'll be gone tomorrow, I won't see her again. Seem to have the house after myself. Okay. Let's have a look. That's working pretty well. Happy with that. And it sounds pretty good. So we'll put the headphones back on. There you go. It's a bit of a bugger. I've got my own studio, but I can't have any sound coming through it. Oh dear. That sounds pretty good actually. It's probably a bit too much. Just bring that level down a touch. Getting too much of a bite. We'll put the FX feedback system on, so that's going to knock off a little bit more sound, but it should be okay. Okay guys, well hi, how you doing? Hope you're enjoying all the videos that I'm doing for you guys, and hope you're checking out all my stuff on my BANDCAMP. And if you're looking for the vinyls or CDs from the same sort of format, they're not on BANDCAMP because they're just digital ones. These are digital ones. These are all them albums. They're all digital formats. But there is a link there that where you can go to another company that makes my CDs and my vinyls. And I've only got 4 on at the moment. It's more the relaxed ones. But I will be building more on. The reason I went with this company is It's a coordinated effort. Like, I put my music with them. I still got my music and the license and everything, that's not a problem. They use it for their thing. Now, they are a Swedish firm based in London, and they have their own records, CDs and everything like that. Or make them, not actually have them. And what we do, we give them the music, and I design how I want the album to go and how the vinyl and that. I don't make a lot of money out of it, but the quality that they do is so good that you just can't go wrong. It's top quality stuff, what all the big artists have. They pay for theirs, which is thousands and thousands and thousands. But I've done a deal with these guys that, yes, you can have so much royalties as long as you make these albums really nice for my fans. As I say, I won't make a lot of it. It don't cost me no, which is good, and I'll make a little bit, but not as much as I would do it if I did it the long way round. But I don't want to store records, and I don't want the case of having to go through and putting lots of money on to get a load of records. This way, both parties are happy. They sort out all the online stuff. I send them to a shop. Customers buy the records or the albums or CDs, what they want. Immediately it's down to the factory to be made, and it's actually done on 3D printers. New technology. It's done by plastic. It's more of a vinyl plastic, but this is more of a plastic. And the reason for that is that they don't need to heat the actual thing up. They don't need to get all these chemicals involved to actually make these records. But by doing it by printed, fibre optic printing, the records are just as good as the original stuff. And I tell you what, the quality is unbelievable. You wouldn't even know it as a vinyl if I hadn't told you it was vinyl. But I'm happy with that, and loads of my fans seem to be happy with them. I think the problem with the vinyl process is, one, it's environmental free. It's terrible to the environment. It costs too much to do, so that's why it costs too much for us artists to make the things. And the simple reason is doing it this way with my link, and doing it the Swedish firm way. They don't have to have so much resources to make these things, and it's a lot easier because it's all done digital nowadays. We don't need a factory to do it. It's all done in a modern facility. My mate Colin, who's a keyboard player, he's going to have a go at it. He's going to make some albums and that, and I said I'd give him a hand at that. And I know Chris, my mate, other Chris, is interested in to have a go, so why not? You know, it's good for the fans. The fans can have the best quality sounds, best quality film, ink and everything. And if you've seen these albums, they are marvellous. I took 2 press cuttings. Let's see if we can find them. Here you go. And this one is I've even done a CD. So when you go into a shop normally, you go and you see that sort of quality. And this is my 432 Relax one. Look at all the photos and the images and everything. Let me just put a light on so you can see. Ooh. Yeah, look at the quality of that. I did this with an AI. I said I want a guy relaxing by a lake, and it made me that. and even on the back it's got the words there, A and B side. Look at this image, all done by AI. And even the record itself, although it is made by half plastic, recycled plastic, quality is fantastic and it sounds beautiful, really does. But that's not all. That's not all. You can either have it in this, or you can either have a CD. Same sort of thing. Open it up. There's the image again. All really bright images. And there we go again. This was the first one, so I've done four now, but now I've actually started colouring this section in and all, like, so basically that would be something like this. And yeah, it's all on the website that I sent it to, and the images and the photos and the way they make them is fantastic. These are a little bit more expensive, but there again, when you say that, records nowadays are expensive to what we used to pay. Back in my days, I used to pay £10, which probably was quite expensive in them days. So equal, now you're looking about £20, £25 for one of these. These are not too bad, still about £12. And these are my relaxation ones. I took 2 press ones so I could see what the quality like, but now I know what they are, I don't need to order anymore. I might do in the future, but because I'll put them on the wall at the back there. Okay, let's pop these back. Let's see. No record collectors out there want 3,000 records, is there? Because I've got quite a few there. Anyway, guys. Hello, Sally. How you doing? Yeah, we got quite a few popped up now. Right, do some music. Switch the light off. So we got the synthesizer going tonight. Up the top there. Let's light some more lights on. There you go. More like Christmas. There's my other synthesizer on. Yeah, that one's got no power. Okay, that can't do no with all that. I could do, but it'll make a humming sound. I don't really want a humming sound. Oh, put it on power though. Put it on charge. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I thought we'd do that. Let's mute you. There you go. of a chill out modern-ish thing there on an 8-beat. Yeah, pretty cool. You like the old environment? It's not too dark, but it's not too light. You can just about see me. How's that? MUL Queensville. Hello, thanks for watching me. I don't know whereabouts you are in the world, but we are born in Lincolnshire. And I go on this late as I can talk to many of my friends around the world. And they're sort of 8 hours behind in the States, I think, something like that, and sometimes a bit 12 hours, sometimes in the Australia. And they always say, can you go on about this time? Well, I have to work out that this time is a bit different to what that time is. And it's either 8 hours difference or 12 hours. Okay, let's see what we've got here. I like that, that's cool. Okay, let's see what we got. So we're going to try something else here. That's nice, isn't it? Bump. What can we make of that? Hmm, 8-beat. And that was an 8-beat. And since I hit the one touch button and the flute thing came in, that sort of sent me on a different range, that one did. I got Globe Vibes off that one. Dream Piano. That's cool, isn't it? Quite like that one. Okay, beat 3, let's see what beat 3 does. That's a bit of a well chill out one, that one, isn't it? Let's change this voice. We've either got a saxophone or something there, looks of it. Or overdrive. Don't think we really want all them, do we? Let's try something else. That's a sax. Piccolo. Wow. Cool. That's a sawtooth, that was called sawtooth synthesizer. That's a Millen's synthesizer. Sawtooth, sawleaf, a box. It's cool, isn't it? Clafter. Okay, interesting. Interesting, let's see where that can go then. I'm going to put a pad on there, I think. Cool, isn't it, eh? Let's try an atmosphere. few instruments in that time, must admit. We got some nice pads on the end there. I was thinking about a soundtrack on that one. And of course, if you go one full finger chords, ooh, that works on full range chords, I think. Let's try some of these. All on full range chords. Let's just get these going. Because these Casios, you can actually do that. Although they're 40-year-old, they can still do the full range chords. some rare sounds tonight. Hey Bob, how you doing? Okay, well. What can we say about that? So, you new guys that's just popped in, I'm playing on the 40-year-old Casio keyboards. These are the top of the range jobs, professional ones that came out back in the 80s. 2.5 grand at that time they would have been, which is equal now to 11.5, 12,000 pounds, something like that. Maybe about 12, 24, 36, nearly 40,000 pounds worth. And being rare, as they didn't make many, not for that market at that price anyway. I'm very lucky to get hold of these, I must admit. They've all been studioed by top professionals, and I'm very lucky to get hold of them. Didn't pay that sort of money, but obviously the value went down over the years, but now they've seemed to have gone back up again now. If you can get any going in the order they came out the factory, luckily enough these are. All been looked after very, very well. So yeah, these are the Casio. This one's the MZ2000, basically the top of the range. Synthesizer, keyboard, the whole lot. And they don't go anywhere, they stay in this warm studio. Sometimes I take them all to bits and clean them and all that, but I'm not really had to do that lately because there's hardly any dust in here. There ain't in this room anyway because I look after it. Okay, let's see where we can go. Oh blimey. And it's still got the original stuff from the 80s, all the original beats, which people pay thousands now to actually manipulate them. And these things do it straight away. And you've got to have it on the right setting, would help. So you got all sorts of weird things on these. You've got voices. Beat. Get the right chord on. Wow, synthesizers, don't you just love them? Hey Max, how you doing? A little bit of the old sounds in the studio. I'm in the UK, it is now 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just, well, I never really plan out really, I suppose I just pick things and see what we can come up with. And what you're witnessing is a one-off. It's all good fun. If you don't try it, you never know. What have we got there? That looks cool. I don't know, I just want to press buttons. Got a nice bassy sound there. Bit of an organ there. Might put a bit of a pad behind it. Let's put a bit of pad behind the organ. That's not a pad, that's a synth. That's a synth drum. We're getting there. Fantasy, so warm. Space. Hello. Wow. Blake 7 job. No, that's a drum. Let's have a look. Synth leads. Interesting. Okay, back to that one. Back to that one. Back to that one. To that one. Pop to that one. Synth strings. Okay. Like that atmosphere. That's cool. Oh, Eurovision Song Contest stuff. Cyberpunk, eh? Back in the 80s, cyberpunk. Yeah, cool stuff. Have a drink. Have a drink. Ooh, getting rather warm though. Oh, pineapple, fizzy pineapple, love it. Okay. Right, so that's that one. Now this one, we're going up a few years now. We're going from 40 years to 30 years. This is the Technics. And this is another top of the range one. This one is the SXKN 6000. A little bit different sound, obviously. Took the technology from there and added some more bits. So now we are on full synthesizer stuff back in the 80s and the 90s. It sounds like a Christmas one then. And we've got a few tricks on this one. cool stuff there. Amazing step forward in 10 years, eh? I mean, it's equal to the C80, what Vangelis used to use, this sounds that come out of this thing. So you don't have to have an £11,000 synth, you just have one of these. But it did have a built-in rhythm, this one does. So that's a bit of a bonus. I mean, the C8 is still around, but they are very, very temperamental and they go out of tune very quickly. So whether you want to spend 11.5 grand for a keyboard that goes out of tune, definitely no good to tour with, although Vangelis used to take his. Well, saying that, he had about 4 people pick it up, one on each corner. It was one of the most heaviest synthesizers they ever built, apparently. I like the 70s hits. Right. Just to the right hand. such a full range sound there, absolutely unbelievable. Full range sound. Yeah, let's do a little hip hop one. Not really hip hop fan myself, but this one fits pretty well. This is Rag and Bone Man. Job, hey? God blimey. It's got some weird sounds in here, I'll tell you. Okay, let's get back to stuff that people do know. Hold that down for 1 second, and we go into a different bank. This is the stuff people know me for. Let's have a look. Let's see if we've got any discretion ones in there. Try and liven the place up a little bit. Oof, oof. Got some synth ones in there. Some rock ones. Actually, we could do a little bit of something different. This is the locomotion. There you go, something a little bit different there. Latin dance, what the heck's that? There's one for Colin. Latin one, eh? A Latin one. Oh, it can't be a Latin one. You can't be a Latin one. Okay. Let's go to the sunset now. Cider drinker, I am a cider drinker. Okay, moving on. Actually, we'll go to. I just seen one. Someone asked me to do this the other day, and I found out how to do it. This one's a bit of erasure. This is respect. from one of my fans that wanted that one, so why not? This is a bit of Blondie. And the tide is high. It is high. Blondie. That's one I haven't played for a little while, must admit. Now then, here's a new one. Let's see if we can do this one. I only just learned this the other day. This is a bit of Depeche Mode, New Life. we go. That concludes for tonight. It's come up to about 2 hours now, crikey. So I've got to get that all on my Facebook and YouTube and God knows what. Yeah, I still got a buzz in there. Okay, I know what that one is. So take that off. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I know you're 5 hours behind the UK, so something like, let me think, if you're in Texas, you're probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back. That would be about 9 o'clock in the evening. Somewhere in Australia, you could be anything like a little bit further back, could be close to 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So there you go. Friends all around the world, different times, different scales and that. They always tell me what time is best for them to go, for me to do it, but then it works out late in the morning or late at night, so, but there you go. It's not a problem. I've got this set up now so no one can hear me. Even next door. Okay guys, well, it's been great. Enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out all the BANDCAMP stuff. There's 32 albums there. And if you want the vinyl and the CDs made by high quality machines nowadays, really, absolutely top quality stuff. And they don't make it the old way like they used to. It's all fibre printed now with unbelievable technology. So really, most of that stuff's made of recycled plastic, all them albums. And they just sound exactly the same as vinyl. There's no difference at all. Still got that warm sound and that. But it's made of recycled plastic, you know. The technology's changed so much, it's unbelievable. And also, the big factories don't have to have the chemicals there. They don't have to have big factories to make them. I mean, I think this firm basically has just massive fibre optic printers. Amazing. Anyway, guys, take it easy. I'll see you soon. Bye.